Welcome to day two of our Purpose Speaker Masterclass, helping you to find your voice, to use your voice, to craft your message, to make a difference in the world. Welcome to day two. I would like us to type in chat how you felt. What are your reflections today about yesterday? Did you have any new insights overnight? Yeah, what are you feeling today about what you learned, what you shared, how you felt about yesterday? Let us know. And I'm going to message Alina and Mary Rose to tell them that we're here. How you feeling? How you feel? Any new thoughts? Any new reflections? I can't see anything in chat, so no one's typing. Or you haven't hit send yet.
You haven't hit send yet.
You haven't hit send yet. Send us your response. How you feeling? Your next chapter is clearer. Okay, good. Your next chapter is clearer now. Okay. Anybody else? What are your...
I'll say, after the homework you gave us yesterday, I was able to reflect on a time where I felt challenged, and this was because I was working full-time and doing a post-grad part-time. So the job itself was very busy, and there were times when I asked myself why I got myself into the postgraduate program, and I kept going. And even though the end didn't seem close, when it was all over, I was able to then reflect and utilize the lessons I learned during the process, i.e. resilience and organizational skills. All of those skills just came into, I would say they came into use as I progressed in my career. So I was able to make that connection between being tenacious and staying the course.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you, Tandy. I love it. I love the reframe, and I love you seeing how a challenge actually helped you to see that you were developing new skills that could be used going forward. So I love that. I love that. And I think that's actually a good exercise for us to do. And I think we should do that exercise regularly. Just have, I have a journal that I use just for my my kind of lifetime series, just things. And sometimes at the oddest time, I remember something that happened to me at the oddest time. And if I haven't got my book in front of me, I make a quick note on my phone. I may do a voice record on my phone or something. And then when I get home and I have my journal, I put it in. And what you have at the end of a year or even a few months is literally a book with a lot of your wins in life that you can go back through and look at, especially when things get challenging, which we all know that sometimes life can get challenging. Just gives you a reference point, an anchor, a hook to say, I'm good. I've got it in me. I've actually got it in me, right? I've got it in me. So here we are. So yesterday, we talked about our identity. We talked about how before we can go off and write our message and craft our story and take to any kind of stage, whether it's a proper stage, or even just speaking to people, guiding people, supporting people, mentoring people, coaching people, helping to transform lives. We talked about how we first of all need to know who we are. The first step, let me reshare my screen. Let me reshare this slide. The first step is to know who you are, know your purpose. And hold on. I want to share my screen, I've got so many. Oh God, I'm scared. I've got so many things open. I've got so many things open, but I will get there. I promise you. There, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes?
ma'am.
Perfect, thank you. So we talked about this. The first step is clarity, to identify your purpose, and when you know your purpose, when you know, and your purpose will fall out of your identity. I think someone is trying to join. Let me let her in. Alina is trying to join. And I think Mary Rose is also trying to join. Not yet. No, I think she's falling off. So out of our identity will fall our purpose. Or you could say out of your purpose will fall your identity. And that's who we first need to know. Who am I? Before we can go off helping anybody. Because actually, here's the thing. A lot of what we are doing is helping people to rediscover themselves. At the end of it, that's what we're helping people to do, to rediscover themselves, to re-identify, to reconnect with their potential, with their gifts, with their skills, with their talents, with their dreams. But we can't do this if we ourselves haven't yet identified, we've rediscovered ourselves, and identified our talents, our gifts, our skills, our dreams. We can't do it. So the first person we need to help is ourselves. And then we can do what I say, which is go back and get the others. And so that's where we started yesterday. And we're actually going to remain here for the rest of this, the rest of this 2-day masterclass. But we're going to go even deeper today. So this was the slide that we looked at yesterday, and we talked about our identity statement. We talked about our purpose statement. And so today, what I'd like us to do is to then say, okay, so what? So what? Now we know who we are. So what? What are we going to do about it? How is that going to serve us? How is that going to serve others? How are we going to serve others now that we know who we are? So let me just first of all say welcome and hello to Alina and Marie Rose, who have joined us. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, good to see your beautiful faces. Hello, hello, hello to day 2. So out of that will form our message. Our identity statement, remember we talked about yesterday, was what do I want to be known for? What do I stand for? And then we talked about our purpose statement, which is what I'm committed to is whatever it is. So what? So what? You know who you are. Who do you want to serve? Who do you want to serve? I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Who do you want to serve? What do you want to serve them? And what difference will it make to them? Who do you want to serve? What do you want to serve them? What difference will it make to them? If you're able to turn your cameras on, I would really appreciate it if you're able to. And I'm going to share why in a second. I'm going to share why. When you speak, you get energy, because life is energy. Words are energy. You get energy from the faces, the human bodies that you're seeing on screen. If you see profile pictures or worse, just names, you are literally talking to a brick wall, literally talking to a brick wall. And you then don't give the energy that they deserve. They don't get the energy that they deserve. And it kicks you off your game. So I'm going to invite you whenever you're in a meeting, unless you are literally unable to, invite you to turn your camera on. Even if you're having dinner, it's fine. A speaker would rather watch you having dinner than just see your name on the screen. And I always invite people to give the way you would like to receive. It's okay to have dinner. We all have to eat. It's 7 p.m. for God's sake. I understand that. But if you're able to, turn your camera on. Thank you. So who do you want to speak to? Now you know who you are. You have your identity statement. You have your purpose statement. So what? Who do you want to speak to? What are you going to be sharing with them? And what's in it for them? I'm going to have us today be a lot more interactive, So I'm actually going to ask everybody, if when you want to speak, when you're not speaking, please stay muted. But if you want to say something, put your hand up, and then I will call on you, and then you can unmute yourself and speak. But let's make today really kind of just we're all just vibing together, right? Let's just all vibe together. Alina, I see your smile. Let's just all vibe together. Let's all just talk and learn from each other. Who do you want to be speaking to? And when I say speak, bear in mind, I'm not necessarily talking about you're on the stage. You could be. You don't have to be. You could be on the stage. You could be in an interview. You could be in a podcast. You could be in the supermarket. You could be on an IG live or a Facebook live. You could be in a meeting. You could be in a little networking session, the way we had a few weeks ago at the Albright Club. But who are you speaking to in your ideal world? In your ideal world, when you close your eyes, and I do this exercise all the time, when you close your eyes and you think about sharing to the heart of your audience, who's your ideal audience? 3 questions. Who is your ideal audience? What are you sharing with them? What are you sharing with them? What difference does it make to them? Would anyone like to share? Would anyone like to share? If you're not ready, you don't have to. Would anyone? Alina. I think Alina's hand went up a millisecond before yours, Sen. Alina.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. And yes, I had dinner with my husband because he just came from work, so I could have just put it on. So is received loud and clear, loud and clear. Who do I want to serve? I want to serve the one like me, the one that needs to understand who he or she is and really uncover and discover the magic within them. Because we forget, and I forgot. And so what? In order to build a new model of their world, to build a life and create a life that's in alignment with who they are within, a life that feels good for them, that feels good, not just looks good, but feels good for them. Living their life from inside out rather than outside in.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm writing. Thank you.
I know you're not. No.
I'm going to come back to that, but before I do, I just let's go around so that we can address them at the same time. Sen, did you want to say something? You're muted. You're muted, Sen.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My ideal audience, it's usually would be women's around, not just in UK, around the world. and also with engagement with my book and what I'm doing at the moment with libraries, it will be also passing the knowledge I have to our youths, you know, our children. Because what I have realized, even by writing my book, Overcoming Hardship, they don't teach us this in schools, colleges, or university. So I get clients, and even when I'm connected with many women's centers across the UK, schools, colleges, and university, they have not teach us how to deal with these situations.
Okay. That's great. Thank you, Sen. Thank you. Anybody else? And if you're unclear, it's fine, because that means that this is now forcing you to think about it. There's no shame in saying, actually, I don't know. I hadn't even thought this far. There's no shame. Actually, here when you're in my space, there's no shame about anything. There's no shame to say, I don't even know what you're on about, woman. There's no shame. Mary Rose, did you want to say something, my darling? You look a little bit concerned. Are you okay? You want
Yes.
Okay. Hi,
Yes.
hi, darling.
Yes, I am. I'm okay. I was reflecting today and thinking of who do I have impact the most. It was difficult for me to just pick. I've been thinking of women, but I've just realized that even at school, I'm impacting the children. At work, even the male, I'm impacting them as well, because I encourage them every time they come and they're a bit down. After talking to them, they just say, wow, you don't know what you did. And it happened with men, women, and children. So, but my passion is for women, but I'm like, I'm not sure that it's just women. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Because the feedback, the good feedback that I receive from people when I'm always there, they're like, you don't know what you did. And I'm like, you don't, and it's not limited to only one gender or the age. So
yeah,
I need clarification for that as well.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for being open to receive clarification. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anybody else? Tandy, hello, darling.
Hi. So my ideal audience would be the global youth, so men or women. And the message I'd be sharing is that you are enough. And then the difference it will make is that the youth will be able to dream and believe that they can achieve whatever it is they want to achieve, as long as their mindsets are right. So it's the importance of having a strong mindset that will get you to your goal. That's the message I would like to impart.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. So is it okay if I go around and just share some feedback on what we all shared? I literally, this meeting started at 7. At 5 to 7, I came off a coaching call where I was the coaching client. I was being coached by my coach. And even now, 4 years later, I'm still finessing and fine-tuning exactly who I want to speak to now, 4 years later. So there's no shame in still being unclear, still needing clarification. And even today on my coaching call, 4 years later, my coach still said to me, no, I'm going to ask it actually. I'm going to go to Alina. Alina, I'm not picking on anyone. This is not to be she picked on me, she did this. This is us getting honest, genuine feedback so we can help each other. When we speak, we need to speak in the language of the person we're helping, not in our language. What do I mean? Alina said something about a model of their world. Ask yourself when you're speaking, this is not to you, Alina, this is to everybody. Ask yourself when you're describing what you do. Does my client go to bed using these words? Do they wake up in crying? Do they wake up full of sweat? Does anybody wake up saying, I want to live in the model of my world? You're laughing, right? Sometimes, especially Alina, for somebody like you, who is now a certified transformational coach, we hear all these words in the world of transformation, and we think they're standard language. They're not standard language. Nobody is going to bed saying, I hope that when I wake up, I will have a clearer model of my world. Nobody's doing that. So speak in the language, yeah, thank you. Speak in the language of the student. Basically, here is a good litmus test. When you speak, when you describe what you do, who you serve and why you serve them and what's in it for them, you should be able to explain it to a 6-year-old, who should be able to go to school and tell their friend about their auntie or their grandma and what she does, and their friend will understand it. Age six. If a 6-year-old doesn't understand it, you've already lost the battle. You've lost the battle. 6 years old. So if you know a 6-year-old, use them. Come here, my darling, let me tell you what I do. And then tell it to them. If they go, what? You've lost it. Seriously, good litmus test. So Alina, I'm going to invite you. You are really at risk because of the work that you're doing. You're at risk of using language. And then you said something else. They want to live from the inside out. What? 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 You know what that means. Nobody outside the world of Sean Smith or Bob Proctor knows what that means. Trust me. It's not standard language anybody in the world is using. Please don't use it. Use English, basic, simple 6-year-old English. I know it's hard. Yeah. Sen, you said you want to help women around the world. I want to ask you to define who that woman is. Women around the world, there are 8 billion people in the world approximately. Even if it's 50-50, that means that there are 4 billion women. You can't help 4 billion women. So what's that woman going through? If I said to you, I had access to 4 billion women in the world, which one would you say is that one I want to speak to? You could only pick one. Which one would you pick? One. You can't have all 4 billion. You can reach 4 billion, but don't start with the mindset of 4 billion. Because why? You'll speak to none. Speak to one. Who's your one? And then you said, passing on knowledge to our children. I'd like to know specifically what knowledge this is. I'm not asking you to answer, ma'am. I'm just saying to think about it. What knowledge? Because children are so different. They can't all possibly need the same thing. It's not possible. So who's that one woman? Who's that one child? And what do they want? Specifically, what do they want? What do you have that they want? That's sin. Mary Rose, you said you can deal with men and women. There's nothing anywhere that says you have to pick a gender. Don't even think it's not necessarily gender specific. It may be problem specific. You may be looking to serve somebody who has a problem or going through a situation, in which case it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. So please don't get yourself caught up in, oh, must it be man or woman? It can be both. But you still need to have one person. What are they going through? See, Alina doesn't have a gender. And I didn't pick on that with her. It's fine. But what are they going through? What's the commonality? Whether they're a man or a woman, what are they going through? I am going to ask you, though, to decide at some point, you're going to have to put a stake in the ground, whether it's adults or children. Why? There's nobody saying that you can't serve both. But I will tell you, you can't serve both fully at the same time. You can't do it. Sometimes people push back and say, what about Tony Robbins? And I say, Tony Robbins has been doing this for 43 years. You really want to compare yourself to Tony Robbins? Right, exactly. If you read Tony Robbins' language, if you read any of his advertisements, they're full of fluff. He says things like Alina, living from the inside out. He says things like that. Tony Robbins can pick up a phone directory and read it out, and people will sign up for him. Because he's Tony Robbins. We're not Tony Robbins yet. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear who we're speaking to and why. So I'm going to invite you, my Rose, put a stake in the ground now. Decide now. Am I adults? Am I children?
Women.
You're women. Done.
Yeah.
Done. Now, it doesn't mean you can't speak to men, but your passion is women. Put a stake in the ground and own it.
Yeah.
There's no way when you say what you say, men will not say, oh, I felt what you said. Come on, they're human. But here is something that I learned. And actually, even I am changing my avatar now, 4 years later, I'm changing my avatar. Who gives me greatest joy to work with? That is who gives me greatest joy. When I go to bed at night, what makes my heart go? Who is that person? Doesn't mean you can't help everybody. I can speak to 15-year-old girls. I don't get the greatest joy from them, though. I can do. I can speak to 60-year-old men. I don't get the greatest joy from them. Even the women I thought I got the greatest joy from, even that is changing. Now, you know who I find gives me the greatest joy? Women between 38 and 50. That age group, they're still quite pliable. Over 50, they've become, I'm sorry to say, so cynical and so diseased by disease. Difficult to change, uncoachable because of life. But 38 to 50 is a sweet spot. They've seen some life, but they still love life enough to want to give it another go. Age 55, you're going to have to fight her to give up some of her old habits. I know, because I'm her. I don't think that my coaches had to fight me, but I'm finding it hard to fight. Those women are hard. 45, beautiful age. So all I'm saying is, who is that person? Man, woman, child, that gives you the greatest joy, that when you go to bed at night, you know you've made a difference in somebody's life. Does that make sense? You know you've made a difference. That's the thing. Thank you. Tandy said global youth. Again, I want to ask you, Tandy, you can't speak to every single youth in the world. You probably heard me say that already. You probably knew I was going to say that to you. So you may want to be a global speaker that addresses the youth. I get that. But I'd love for you to be more specific about who are they disenfranchised? Because you talked about you want to tell them that they're enough. You want to help them to dream and to believe. I think those are beautiful, but why? What are they feeling now? So this is now to everybody. And I just had to do this exercise like 45 minutes ago. Or should I say, redo this exercise? What are they going to bed at night crying about? That is it. What are they going to bed at night crying about? That's the way you can speak to them at their point of need. So if you said to me, if I was your ideal client or ideal avatar in terms of my demographic or psychographic, and you said to me, have you ever woken up in the morning feeling bloated and bulky because you know you could shed 20 pounds? I'd be like, yeah, okay. And have you ever felt that you're missing out on life because you're feeling bloated and bulky? I'd be like, nah, actually, nah, I'm good. Right? And do you want to come to join me in my workout where you can shed 10 pounds? And I'm like, no, thank you very much. I'm gone. Right? You're not speaking to me. Not because your message isn't important, it's just not for me. So find the person who it's important to, but use that language. Do you wake up feeling bloated and bulky? Do you wake up feeling, oh my God, I wish I had more energy? Do you wake up feeling, when did I start looking this way? Whatever is hurting her, use the language and let her say, oh my God, that's me. And here is something that I think a lot of us do. I've heard this before, and even I am still guilty of this. We want to try to help everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're not Jesus Christ. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, stop. Better to help one person than to try to help 100 and miss them all because you're not speaking to that one person. You're trying to be vague, to cover all bases. This is not the time to cover all bases. Speak to your one person, call her out. This applies to everybody, including me. So no judgment. No judgment. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's get really clear on who we want to speak to. If you were able to fill a room, whatever filling a room means to you, if it's 5 people, 100 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, whatever it is, if you could fill a room with your ideal person, as in one person in 500 seats, who would that one person be? And that person could be either gender. So this is not a man-woman thing, but even if they're different gender, they've got the same challenge. And speak to them and call them out. And let them say it's me you're speaking to. Because that's how your message will land. And if you look at advertising, for example, look at advertising, look at the way the big players advertise. They're usually quite specific. When you read between the lines, they're usually quite specific. So for example, Coke is only helping you to do one thing, that's quench your thirst. Done. Right, Andy? They're only helping you do one thing, quench your thirst. They don't sell you on the health benefits of Coke because they know there are none. Right, Alina? They know there are none. They don't sell you on anything apart from quench your thirst. Have your hook and do it over and over and over again. Oh, one more thing whilst we're talking about this, and then I'm going to open up the lines. The only person who gets bored with you saying the same thing over and over again is who? Is who? Is you.
Yourself.
Yourself.
Yes, yourself.
You're the only person who gets bored. You should say the same thing over and over again. Guess what? Nobody wants to come to your Instagram live or your masterclass or your event or your retreat or your workshop or pick up your book and read something that they haven't heard from you already before. Nobody wants to do that. That's what makes people nervous. When people see you, they should say, oh, I know what she's going to talk about. And if they scroll past, it's fine. It means you're not for them. That's That's fine. That's no shade. But the person who you're speaking to will stop and listen. And she'll stop again the next day and the next day. And that's what you want her to do. You want to arrest her because you're speaking to her. So please say the same thing. Every time you see a Coke ad, you know they're going to tell you that you need to quench your thirst. Yes. Thoughts, reflections before we move on. Open up the lines, open up your lines. Let us know, thoughts, reflections. Nobody? Hey, Sen, go for it, girl.
So this has actually made me think who's gonna be like my number one audience. Because I'm in process of now thinking about making my own group as a book club, where I, from you, decided, like you said, it should be the person, my number one, that I'm helping, the person which had similar challenges as me, that I can help with. Because the reason why I got involved with Women's Center, like you said, I know why they go to the bed and why they cry. So I decided this is my probably next chapter to do. Because as much as I've been interacting all these 5 years with women like that, I have realized that I can help them. And they're coming back to me all the time. I'm not even calling them. They're coming back to me all the time.
Yeah.
I think those kind of women I should concentrate on them as a number one person. The number one person, it would be the women which went through separation, like me, divorce, children challenges. And there is so many like women's like that in UK, which don't even know what to do, what kind of help they can get, which way to go. And also because I am bilingual, there is also women which cannot speak English at all. Yeah. And because I can speak few languages, I can help them as well in that way.
Yeah. I think I like that. I think the only thing I'm going to invite you to do, and this is for everybody, is when we put a stake in the ground, stick to it. Let's stop wavering, right? Be consistent. It's okay. And this is not to you, Sen. This is just this just caught me as you were sharing. It's okay to evolve, as Alina's word. It's okay to evolve, and it's even okay to change. It's okay to say, you know what, that's not who I am anymore. But give it a go. Don't change every 5 minutes. Give it a go, right? Put your stake in the ground and say, this is it. And another thing, even if you say that your ideal person is female, to my Rose's point, don't be surprised if people outside of that specific area turn up and say, but you're speaking to me as well. And please invite them in. Please invite them in, even if you're not speaking directly to them.
Yeah.
But put a stake in the ground and own your stake in the ground and claim your stake in the ground. You can only, there's a saying that we used to say when I was younger, a rolling stone gathers no moss, right? If you keep moving, you're not going to get any traction. Thank you, Sen. Thank you. Anybody else? Any reflections of what we've said so far? Alina.
I have a question. Thank you. Like you said, once you start having different clients, you understand who you connect with more. And there's always one, isn't it? There's always one that it's so similar to you that you think, God, she's a mini me, right? I have one. And I absolutely love having coaching sessions with her because she's showing up. She wants to understand who she is. She wants to know where she's going. She wants to reignite whatever is inside her. She wants to, so she reminds me of me, and for me to guide her is so natural and organic, and I love it. It's a joy to coach her. Now, I do have other clients who have different things that I can help them with, that I am, and that's the intention, but I don't enjoy it as much. So my question to you is, do I just look at my clients that I relate to so much and she brings me so much joy, and I create an avatar from there? Because like you said, I have to make a decision on, I cannot afford being a Rolling Stone. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You've got to make a choice for
Yeah.
now, and then of course you can evolve from it, but
Yeah.
you know, there's a start.
So I think that you don't want to close yourself off from helping people who need help, right? You will have some clients who will not necessarily be your mirror, even though in some way they probably are, to be honest, which is why they're in your space. But I do think it's perfectly natural to build your avatar on somebody who gives you the greatest joy, because that's who you want to invite. You want to invite more of that person, right? So if you create that person as your avatar, you're inviting more of that. But having said that, you probably find that you're learning more from those who challenge you in one way or another. And you don't want to
that's a
close
great
yourself
piece.
You don't want to close yourself off from learning opportunities. So you still want to invite those, but your dream client is that person that is open to receiving, accepting, eager, keen, implements, all that stuff. That's your ideal client. But you're here to serve. And serving means that, unfortunately, sometimes we have to help people get to their next level, and that may not be easy for you or for them. Also remember that we don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So we want to accept and allow ourselves also to learn.
Of course.
Does that help?
Well, I'm yeah, definitely. And now that as you were speaking, it's, if I've made a list of them while you were speaking. If I put, they all have something in common. There's something like breadcrumbs, how you say it. If I look, each individual one has something, they all have something in common. So I think it's wise to look at that as well.
Absolutely.
But there is a lot to learn from the others as well. A lot to learn. Yeah, so thank you for that. That's
You're very welcome.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Lauren. Thank you for joining. Hello. Are we able to see your beautiful face? If we can, we'd love to. Let us know. Hello.
Hello. I apologize. I've been working and I got an alert yesterday and I said, let me jump on just for a little bit before I have to pivot off. Thank you so much for the invite, and please forgive my lateness.
You're absolutely fine. It's nice to have you here. You can just listen as we carry on. Today's session is actually very interactive. So we're having really a session where we're all connecting and learning from each other. You're very welcome. Right, who'd like to go next? Reflections, thoughts, and what we just covered. Who'd like to go next? Anybody, or should we move on? Okay, I'm going to move on. If you want to say something at any point, just raise your hand and we'll stop. We'll take questions, we'll take reflections, nuggets, thoughts, takeaways. And speaking of takeaways, sometimes the takeaway is not in what I say necessarily. The takeaway could be in something somebody else says. The takeaway could be in something you hear yourself say. So don't be surprised if your insights come from you and they're valid. They're absolutely valid and they're welcome. Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. So when we craft our message, there are three things that we want to be cognizant of. There are three questions we want to answer for ourselves. As a result of having heard my message, what do I want my audience? An audience here could be 1, could be 2, could be 1,000. As a result of hearing my message, what do I want my audience to know, to feel, and to do? What do I want them to know, to feel, and to do? Let's talk about each of those. What do I want them to know? That will come from your content. That's information. That's really speaking to the head. What do I want them to know? What do I want them to be aware of? What do I want them to feel? Comes from emotion. And that will come from your stories. Hashtag stories are non-negotiable. What do I want them to feel? What do I want them to do? What this is referring to is what is the so what? What's the transformation as a result of hearing me talk, as a result of hearing my message? What difference? Can I ask everybody to please be muted? What difference would it make to their life when they leave that space? What will be different about their life? So what do I want them to know? What do I want them to feel? What do I want them to do? When you craft your message, answer these three questions. And I just said that the feel question in that triangle, it's not a triangle, but I don't know the word. The feel question is about emotion. The way we connect is through emotion. And the way we connect through emotion is by sharing our story. And this is where the storytelling comes in. Let me say it really clearly here. Please do not tell unending long stories. Short, snappy, to the point, with your lessons, with your point. We have a tendency to go on and on and on. Lauren.
Yes, I apologize. May I ask you a question right where you just said, like, tell a short story?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having kind of conflicted messages when I looked on LinkedIn, because I've noticed that the trend is that people have very lengthy posts, and all of us are busy, and I don't have time to read one lengthy story or message, and then I go to someone else's profile or see it pop up in my timeline. It's lengthy. So I'm finding that if I see that it's a book, I keep moving. Or I just look at the first 3 lines. I don't know if it's just me, And so it's interesting when you said tell a short story, and I'm educated, and I'm sure they're educated as well, but I'm finding that I'm being led to have like short, sweet, like something I recently posted, and I guess what I'm trending, like very short and sweet. I kind of want the imagination to go in whatever direction they are, but I don't want to necessarily bombard them with too much information, too much content. So where's the balance where you can tell people, hey, I'm knowledgeable, I just don't want to be a book on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
If anybody else can resonate with me.
I think Alina can. Alina puts her hand up immediately you started talking. Oh, that is such a powerful question. It's a great question. So here's the thing. On social media, people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, especially when they don't know you. If people don't know you, they literally 3 seconds is probably what they're going to give you. The more they know you is, which is why Alina says, unless it's Anna, the more they know you is the more likely they are to give you more of their time. Even then, a long, unending story is likely to put anybody off. If it's interesting, they may stay. So I think, here's what I think. Try varying lengths and see what the response you get is. Try literally really short, snappy, 30-word, maybe even shorter story. Try, I don't know, 80 words, and then try 150 words and see which ones get the most traction. What does your audience want is the answer to that question. Bear in mind that that people who don't know you are more likely to want the short, snappy version. Here is the thing, Lauren, and everybody else. We as humans have a tendency to tell long, unending stories anyway. When you share your story, you'll be surprised. You're likely to be surprised how much in it is unnecessary. Which is why when we train as speakers, we're often told, tell our story in 3 minutes. In, valley, out, lessons in 3 minutes flat. The minute you go a second more than 3 minutes, you're disqualified. Disqualified. 3 minutes flat. And that is for an untrained speaker. For a trained speaker, it's actually 2 minutes. I'm not sure if that helps at all, Lauren.
Yes, thank you so much. It's confirmation for me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else? We're not going to get, I'm going to come to you in a second, Sen, thank you. We're not going to get the opportunity today to do storytelling, but at some other point, we will do some storytelling. But before you can even craft your story, you need to first know who you are, which is what we did yesterday. You need to then identify your message. What do you want people to know, to feel, to do? And in there will come your story. And all that should take you no more than 3 minutes. Here's the thing, even if you have a 30-minute keynote, a 45-minute keynote, a 1-hour keynote, your story is still 3 minutes. What you do is you tell multiple stories. But the story is still 3 minutes, otherwise you're likely to lose the audience. And there's a whole workshop I do on storytelling, which is around how the delivery, the tonality, your voice inflections, your body movement, your words where you show rather than tell. There's a whole raft of techniques that we can go through, which is beyond the scope of this session. But that's what we need to be able to do to hold an audience's attention. Sen, you had a question or a comment.
No, I just want to add, because regarding these stories, what I have realized that obviously we're all busy and that people prefer more to see reels because it's shorter. So what I am trying to do now, I put, for example, my brand, which I want to in reels, and just the one sentence at the top. And then you can attach whatever link to it if it's just longer. So I realized that people are, because reels are short, that they're more watching reels rather than, listening the story, because everybody's busy. So I don't know if I'm right. Have you guys realized this?
Well, I think you're right. I don't think you're right. I know you're right. But just to come back to Lauren's question, because she mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not reels,
Okay.
reels appropriate really. And actually verbal text content is more common and more appropriate for LinkedIn than video actually. On LinkedIn, you'll see more text, but on Facebook and Instagram, then absolutely reels. But then here's the thing with reels. I think sometimes people try to capture your attention with reels, and the reels can be a little bit annoying at sometimes. It's like it's pointless. It's almost like clickbait. There's no value. There's little value, I think, to a lot of them. There's little value. It's like, why did I waste even 10 seconds watching this? I'd rather spend a full minute reading something valuable, to be honest with you. So I think we also need to be mindful of that we don't do things just for the sake of it, that we actually want to add value. That's the bottom line. I spend too much time watching stupid reels on Instagram. I'm sorry. Later I think to myself, I will never get that time back in my life. What have I just done? Yeah. Tandy, you're laughing at me. It's true. Anybody else? Okay, so that takes us to our next point. The next point I wanted to share is, wherever you are in your journey, I want you to know that you have enough knowledge, enough experience, enough wisdom, enough expertise to teach somebody. What do I mean? We often compare ourselves to people who've been doing whatever we want to do for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And we say, who am I? Who am I to call myself somebody who teaches people how to speak? Who am I to call myself somebody who teaches people how to rediscover themselves? Who am I to call myself somebody who can help you fundraise? Who am I? Here is something that I have discovered in my journey. Sometimes people who are 30 years in the gig are too far away to actually help you. You want someone who is literally one chapter ahead. One chapter ahead. So I want to share with you, if you're at chapter 2, you can help people at chapter 1 and people who haven't even found the book from chapter 2. You don't need to wait till you get to chapter 10. I have a coach who has been a big public speaker, motivational speaker, for transformational coach for 30 years. I've shared before with people in my community. There's a lot of stuff she couldn't help me with. 30 years on, she just didn't. It's like, I don't know. I don't remember how I did that, because that was 30 years ago. And then my coach, who'd been doing it for 10 years, was a lot more hands-on, because she'd only just been there. Yeah, so by all means, have a mentor, have a coach who is 50 feet above, but don't diminish someone who's 2 feet above, and don't diminish yourself for being 1 foot above. People who haven't even started are looking to you as someone who can help, and you can help them right from where you are. And actually, the best way to learn is what? Is to teach.
Teach.
That's it, Alida.
To teach, yeah.
Yeah. Best way to learn is to teach. So I wanted to share that. So how do we get these? How do we get these stories? How do we get these stories, or specifically this story that we are going to use as our signature story to help others? Where does it come from? We don't need to have a big, huge, catastrophic, woe is me is woe story. It doesn't have to be. It can be. If that's your story, then don't shy away from it. But that's not your story. Equally, don't diminish it, because you are enough and your story is enough. So the story comes from your defining moments, a point in your life, a place in your life where something happened and it was a turning point. You knew that life would not be the same again. It was a turning point. You learned something, you went through something, you experienced something. It doesn't have to be catastrophic. So I had a coach who said many years ago, he was a student when we're all still students, when he was being taught, he was being coached by his own coach. His coach offered him a stage. His own coach said to him, right, I'm going to invite all my students to come and give a little spiel at my conference. And so they all went happily, and yeah, we're going to do this. And the first student who was called up shared his story about the fact that he'd had a great job, and then he got involved in drugs at an office celebratory party, got involved in drugs and got hooked on drugs, was kicked out of his house by his wife, was on the streets, living on the streets. And 3 years later, his wife came and found him, and he cleaned himself up. Deep, deep, deep story. The audience was hooked, literally at the edge of their seat, listening. What's going to happen next? And when he finished, there was a huge applause, standing ovation, and it was like boom, boom, boom. And then the next person was called up. This next person had no arms and no legs. She had no arms and no legs. And she came up and she shared her story. I was born with no arms and no legs, and this is me, but now I'm a motivational speaker. And she was asked at the end of her spiel, how has living with no arms and no legs affected you? And she looked up and she looked down, she looked left, she looked right. She said, I don't think it's affected me. I'm doing good. And then again, huge round of applause, standing ovation, boom, 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 oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then the big coach said, right, next I'm going to bring the third speaker. And he mentioned my own coach. And my coach said, he was like, nah. He ran away. He legged it to the bathroom. He ran to the bathroom because he thought, how can I come and share my story? How can I come and share my story, which is that actually I was born in a good home. I was raised in a good home, in a good neighborhood. I had a good job. I was an accountant, but I wanted more for my life. The first guy was a drug addict living on the streets. And his story was about love and forgiveness, how his wife forgave him, come to pick him up from the streets 3 years later. The next person has no arms and no legs. And I'm going to come and say, oh, my life was good, but I just wanted more. He says, no, thank you. I'm not doing that. But eventually, he was pulled out of the bathroom. He came on stage. He shared his story. Guess what? At the end of the conference, His line was the longest line for people wanting to come and speak to him. The longest line. Why? How many people can relate to being on drugs and living on the streets for 3 years in an audience? Not that many, to be honest. Not that many. How many people can relate to being born with no arms and no legs? Probably even fewer. But how many can relate to, you know what? Life is actually not too bad. I knew that there was more to my life than what I had allowed myself to be. How many do you think? Everybody. 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 What's the moral of that story? Share your story. It doesn't have to be catastrophic. Own your story. Stand up for your story. Somebody needs to hear your story and only your story. Does anybody have any idea what story they will tell? They are likely to tell if they had the chance, if they had the opportunity. Does anybody have any idea? Sen.
Right. I could relate to this because I was working 15 years for NHS. It was good money, it was good life as well. But I was not feeling happy inside. I knew this is good life, not good life, but good money, good, everything. I'm having a good life. But I knew I can do more, and this job, it doesn't make me happy. So why this guy cried in the toilet? It takes a courage as well to make this step and to decide. I've been years and years in this job. I had enough. If I don't say no to you today, and if I didn't take that my bag from that office, I would be stuck another 15 years and be unhappy.
So you can relate. You can relate.
Yes, so my happiness and my emotions are more important to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Sen. Does anybody have, Lauren, yeah, thank you. Does anybody else? Anybody knows? You don't need to share this story, but do you have a story that you know that you can share? That's your message. And it's what you want to be. Here's the thing. Your story, you will have many stories, but you'll have a signature story. That's the story that you share over and over and over again. It's a story you want to be repeated, you want to relive, and you want to retell. Now I'm going to ask this question again. Anybody else?
Yes. Yes, I have a story that I would definitely love to tell, but I'm easing my way to it.
Okay.
And I am using the LinkedIn platform. I'm trying to get the courage to start writing the book or starting with writing a little devotional. But I feel like the platform that I have now and the work that I'm doing now could really impact a lot of lives. So I feel as if I have a story within me that I need to share, but I'm just trying to get the courage to just do it. And I admire people who can just go out there and just share it. So that's about it.
Yeah, I love what you just said, Lauren. I love that because we touched on this yesterday. It takes a lot of courage to share our story. A lot of courage. This is exactly what we talked about yesterday. And before we can share our story, actually, I'm going to share this slide again because Lauren has taken us there. Lauren has taken us there. Bear with me. Let me find it. Hi, Faith. Hello, Faith. Nice to have you, my darling. I just want to share this slide again because it is so important to what we are talking about. Can you see the Young Mind Spa pillars? You can see the screen, yeah? So we talked yesterday about clarify. Clarify, these are my pillars, the Young Mind Spa pillars. Clarify, we're going from left to right. Clarify your identity, your purpose, your mission, package your expertise, and identify your unique message. That's really where we're sitting in today. Identifying who we are. We started this yesterday. Identify who we are. Identify your voice. Identify your purpose. And then we move on to connect with a power mindset. That's exactly what Lauren has taken us to. This is all about courage. This is about self-worth, self-belief. This is step 2. Before we get to step 3, which is to craft and communicate our powerful keynote message and signature story with mastery. Why is craft and communicate your message with mastery step 3? Because we first of all need to have identified it in step 1, and then we need to have built the courage in step 2. Sometimes some people want to skip and learn how to share their story and then start to share their story. And those are the people who run the risk of being eaten alive. And sometimes the person who eats them alive is themselves. The final step is to then create. Now you know your story. Now you're standing. This is what Lisa Nichols, my coach, says: you stand on your story, not in your story. You stand on it, you own it. And then you create your ecosystem. You go out to market and monetize. Having written your book, turned it into a program, you're running workshops, you're doing retreats, you're doing events, you're speaking on stages, you're coaching people with your powerful message, your experience. Right? But before we go to craft, we live in courage, in connect with a powerful mindset. And actually, step 2 goes with us along the rest of the journey. It's not a once and done. Why is this so important? Because to use your voice, you first, thanks, Alina, I see the heart. I see the heart, Lauren, thank you. To use your voice, we need to first work on ourselves. We need to first work on ourselves. Because even before people have a chance to tell you you're not good enough, you're likely to tell yourself you're not good enough. Right? Even before people tell you, who do you think you are standing there telling me to do this? You will tell yourself, who do I think I am? So we need to work on ourselves, which is why we spend so much time in the personal development space. That's what Connect is all about, is personal development. We can work on storytelling. We can work on crafting our message. We can work on our business. We can work on our professional skills. Without personal development, we're going to crash and burn. Fact. Everything lives within personal development. So Lauren, thank you for taking us there. We need a lot of courage to share our voice, which is why when you see people walking onto a stage, any stage, I think I said this yesterday, any stage, even on Instagram, even if you don't agree, whether Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever, even if you don't agree, please don't put them down. Please don't put them down. It's likely to have taken them a lot of courage to get up and own their voice and use their voice. If you don't agree, just keep scrolling, but don't put them down, so that you will not be put down. It takes a lot of courage. And at each level, we need a deeper level of courage. At each level, we need a deeper level of courage. I keep saying this in all of my workshops. The higher you go up, the deeper you go down. If you want to go 4 levels up, you have to dig deep 4 levels down. Thank you, Lauren. It's true. Thank you, Lauren. And which is why Andy Enriquez ran to the bathroom when he was called to speak after 2 people whose stories he believed were bigger than his. Back to storytelling. Never diminish your story. Somebody needs to hear your story. Doesn't matter whether it's a crash and burn story. Anybody else? Faith, let's hear your voice today. Hello, my darling. You've just joined. You probably have, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? Just say hello to us. Say hello to us. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. And sorry, I'm super late.
That's all right, my love. You're welcome. It's great to see your face. Great to see your face. Anybody else has any? Does anybody else know what story they will share? If I said to you at my next workshop, I'd love for you to come and share your story in 3 minutes. Does anybody know? You don't need to share the story, but you know what story you will share.
I would make sure I have a story if you ask me to do that. I'm still refining mine, but I will make sure this 3 minutes practice prepared and all that. But yeah, it's refining it. It's you do know the defining moment, because as you connect with yourself and you're going deeper and deeper, you understand your story. It's just expressing it in a way that impacts someone. It's with an intention, because we can all talk, but it's what do we say?
Yeah.
So
I love that, Alina. I really love that. Let me respond with this. Have you've seen a relay race, right? You've seen a relay race. You've seen where the first man, and when I say man here, I'm speaking generically, it could be a woman, please don't hold me to it. The first person with the baton is running to the next leg. Do you see what happens? Have you ever noticed what happens with the next leg? The next leg doesn't stand there waiting to receive the baton. They're already moving. They're already moving. Before the guy gets to him, he's already moving. Hold his hand back. Give it to me. And the minute he holds it, he legs it. What's my point? Don't stand still. Alina, it's going to sound like I'm picking on you. I'm not, my darling. You're brave enough to share your truth. I would like to use it as a teaching point. We don't share a story from a standing position. Share your story and then get better as you share your story. Share your story. I said 3 minutes. If it takes you 10 minutes, I did it in 10. At least I did it. You will never get to 3 minutes if you don't first do it in 10. Share your story. Share your story. Just share it and you will get better, and you will get better, and you will get better, and you will get better. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Share the story and keep moving forward. That's it. That's it. We can never get good from a standstill position, ever. We have to fall, get up, stand up again. Get up, stand up again. When I did my speaker training with Lisa Nichols, at the end of the program, we had something called Stand and Deliver. Stand and Deliver was where we all had to stand and deliver our story. It was so bad. At least half the class didn't turn up for Stand and Deliver. Didn't turn up. Couldn't do it. They'd gone a year of training on how to tell their story. They couldn't do it at Stand and Deliver. Even though it was just us. It wasn't external. It was just us and her past students. They couldn't do it. I don't know why. I can't speak for everybody. I believe that for some people, it was back to that thing we just shared, courage. That second pillar is huge. Courage. But imagine not having the nerve to stand up and speak to your own fellow students. It takes a lot. But here is the thing I'd love to ask or to share. I'm going to come to you in a second, Faith. Thank you so much for raising your hand. I'm going to come to you in a second. While I do, hello, Adi. Here is the thing. As long as we make it about us, lack of courage is more likely to set in. How do I look? How do I sound? What will they think of me? It's all me. It's all about me. If one person in that audience takes something away from what I say, it will be worth it. It's no longer about me. It's no longer about me. Get you out of your head and serve and impact and contribute and build. When we stop ourselves, it's ego. Faith. Hello, my darling. Hey.
I just wanted to share something very quickly. Sorry about that. So we recently did a training course at my workplace called Train the Trainer. And on Monday, I had to deliver training, corporate induction to about 90 people. So it was like, oh my God. But I did it. I woke up at 4 o'clock, couldn't sleep, but I did it, so I was really, really pleased. I was proud anyway that I was able to deliver. So I'm putting myself forward again.
Can we all give Faith a round of applause? Round of applause. I'm loving it. Thank you for sharing that, Faith. Please carry on. You're muted, my darling. You're muted. Are you done? You're done?
Yes, no, I'm done. I was just sharing that I would have never done that before, but I'm pleased that I did it. And I'm putting myself forward again, maybe in about a month's time, so I don't forget the skills. And yeah, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. So yeah.
That's it.
And that's all because of, all the work I've been doing and, the community. So it's all great. Thanks.
I love it. Bravo. Bravo indeed. Bravo, Faith. Congratulations, Faith. That's it. That's it. Somebody needs to hear your voice, and it'll be a shame for you to not allow them to get their breakthrough because of your ego. At the end of the day, that's it. That's what you should say to yourself. Will I allow my ego to stop me from helping somebody? How am I serving? How am I serving? How am I serving? It also helps you to appreciate when you see people who stand up and serve. And I think that's what builds empathy. I have become a much kinder person since I've become a more public person, because I'm like, ooh, some of the things I did before, I'm not proud because I don't want them to be done to me. So it's easy to hide in the background and criticize people. Why don't you get up and do it yourself? And then see how easy it is. Right, Sen? Right? Yeah. Why don't you get up? Stop hiding. You go up there and you try and see how easy it is. And see whether you'll be as judgmental as you once were. I doubt it. I doubt it. I'm going to put this slide up one more time. Get in the arena. Alina. Get in the arena. Exactly. Throw yourself in the arena and see how it is. I'm going to put this slide up one more time, simply because Faith and Ade weren't here yesterday. And I think it's such a powerful slide, and they should see, just so that they see the journey. So let me give some context. This is, actually, I'll share this slide first. This is the journey that I have seen, that I have taken. But I didn't recognize the journey at the start. It's now that I look back that I say, oh, this is the journey. And these are the 4 pillars that I teach on at Ziano Mind Spa before I even knew. You've probably seen this before, not probably, you have seen this before in some other way, but this is another way of sharing it, of depicting it. So Ziano Mind Spa pillars, going from left to right. Pillar 1, clarify. Clarify your voice. What does that mean? Clarify your purpose, clarify your identity, clarify your mission, clarify your vision, package your expertise. And from all of that will fall your message. What's your message? Let's have a quick recap. What's your message? Your message is how you want to be remembered. How do you want to be remembered? What do you stand for? What do you stand for? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your life to represent? Different questions, different ways of asking the exact same thing. What do you want? What do you want to be known for? When people say your name, what do you want to be said after it? At the end of your life, when you look back, what do you want said about you? That's all in clarify. Nothing on this slide is meant to suggest that it's a one-time thing. It's constant. It's constant, it's refining, it's finessing, it's evolving, it's tweaking, and that's fine. Once we have an idea of who we are, what we stand for, how we want to be remembered, we then move on to connect to a power mindset as a masterful messenger, because we want to use our voice to make impact, create impact in the world, and change lives, help to transform lives. But to do that, we need a power mindset. We need to, I think everybody was here when I shared, the higher you want to go, the deeper you need to go. The higher you want to go, the deeper you need to go. There's a lot of personal development, of self-worth, of self-building, of self-belief that we need to employ, to utilize, to develop before we can go out into the world and make a difference. it takes a lot to really step up and say, I'm going to use my voice. It's not easy because we run the risk of being publicly scrutinized and criticized. But even before we go out into the world and scrutinize and run the risk of being scrutinized and criticized, we first of all scrutinize and criticize ourselves. And sometimes that's enough to stop us. We don't even go out into the world because we ourselves tell ourselves that we're not good enough. Who do I think I am? There's something I missed in the clarity segment, which is yesterday, because today is day 2. Yesterday, we took a stab of writing the first draft of our identity statement. Our identity statement is what I want to be known for is. So if you weren't here yesterday, you missed that, but you can do that on your own. What I want to be known for is. And then we also wrote our purpose statement. The thing I'm most committed to is. And what we said was that we were going to create our own personal affirmations from both of those 2 statements. What I want to be known for is. What I am most committed to is. And then say those affirmations. You can turn them into a mantra. I don't care what you call them, but just create something and say that to yourself as often as possible. Say to people as often as possible so that you can start to believe it. So it gets embedded in your spirit and you believe that that's who you are, because you're the first person that will tell yourself that you're not enough. And then we can start to craft our message, craft our powerful keynote, our signature story, and go out into the world and share it. And by the way, your message, your speaking your message could come in the form of a book. It may not necessarily be on stage. And when I say stage, I don't just mean a physical platform. I mean anywhere where you share your message. It could be in a supermarket aisle, anywhere where you are delivering a message of hope, of belief, of change, of transformation, where you're pouring into somebody else's life. That is your stage. And your audience is an audience of 1, anything to an audience of 1 billion. So let's be clear. By stage, we don't mean just a public platform stage. By audience, we don't necessarily mean a big, large audience. And then, if you want to make this not just your mission, not just your passion, but you want to build a brand and a business from it, you're going to need to generate some money. Show me the money. We talked about this yesterday. You are worthy of earning, of living, of eating from your purpose. And that's where we then turn to monetizing. How are you going to serve people? By the way, in Craft and Create, we talk about who are you serving? What are you serving them? How are you serving them? What are you going to do? I'm going to stop sharing now. What are you going to do? Do you want to run, I don't know, coaching programs, training programs, workshops, retreats, one-to-one coaching, whatever the modality or sets of modalities that you want to use to serve people? Create that and then go to market. You cannot go to market if you don't first have something to take to market. You cannot have something to take to market if you don't believe you're worthy of going to market. And you cannot believe you're worthy of going to market if you don't even know what you're going to market with. So clarify, connect, craft and communicate, create. I'm going to stop talking. Thoughts, questions, reflections. Don't all speak at once. Who'd like to share? Anybody? Sen.
Right. I want to say how these 2 days has impacted on my mindset and decision. And thank you, Anne, for this. I appreciate it. Where I want to be. Because if you remember yesterday, I was a bit, shall I say, negative, not negative. I was not happy with myself, with the journey, because like you said, clarifying, I didn't have that clarified journey. Where I am now, and what next step I should take to my chapter of the life. And I also have your book, My Next Chapter, which is, I'm on last page as well. So this helps clarify me within 2 days what to do next. Because if you remember last meeting as well, I said, when you been talking about next chapter, my next chapter is the next chapter we talked about that I'm going to take. So this has helped me just within, like, let's say 48 hours to clarify where I want to go with my journey now. So, and I want to thank you from the heart, because maybe I was sounding a bit negative, but my mindset was confused. I didn't know. So now you, with this training and with this talk and connection, sharing all knowledges between each other, it has made that clarifying or my branding where to go next. And I thank you for that and all of the powerful ladies in our network.
Thank you. Thank you, Sen. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's not a once and done. We have to keep doing it. It's actually a lifetime journey. It's a journey of a lifetime. And it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for everybody. One thing I do want to talk about, though, before we carry on very quickly, is it's important to recognize, to realize that we're doing this for impact. We're doing this to serve. We're doing this to contribute. But I want to make it very, very clear to everybody. We're also doing this to make money. Why? A lot of us spend time crying into our pillows, crying on the way to work, crying on the way from work, crying on the way to the supermarket, telling God we haven't got money. We haven't got money. God help me. Alina, you're laughing. I haven't got money. God help me, I haven't got money. And God is looking like, how? How? I've given you all these gifts. I've given you all these skills. And then you look to me for money. Your gifts, your talents, your skills are for you to trade. Please do not feel slimy or needy or anything negative about trading with your gifts. That is the point of having gifts. You're supposed to eat from your gifts. It's your duty. Thank you, Alina. It's your duty. So don't go crying to God when he's giving you something to take to market, but you're giving it away for free. Or worse, you're not even acknowledging that you have it. It's your commodity. So please don't come to Ziano Mind Spa. I'm telling you, I'm being very serious. And tell me you're doing this thing for free. Do not. And if you do, then don't tell me you can't afford to come to any of my events. And I'm serious now. I'm actually being serious. And I'm being serious because that was me. So I'm not judging you. I'm saying this because I was there. I'm that person. I'm talking to myself. right? So please, there are two hands. You serve, but you also eat. Thank you. Anybody else? Come on, we've been here for almost 2 hours. You've got nothing to say? Come on. Come on. What are your thoughts? What's going on in your mind? What are you thinking? What are your reflections, takeaways? What's going on in your mind, ladies? Nobody? Alina, to the rescue again.
Right. I absolutely loved these 2 days. I've done work with you, and I'm always looking forward to see you and to hear what you're teaching us, and I absolutely loved the pillars. Powerful, because it gives, I'm speaking about me, it gives me a framework, if that's the word, to work on. So until now I had them all up in the air, but now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
And you gave me a gift yesterday when you said something that Lisa Nichols said to you, and then you heard it again, and then I thought it just resonated with me, and I want to work with people who want to go somewhere, and that is going to be part of my go to create, to build, to live, to do something. Yes, and so what? That happened in the past. Let's deal with it. Let's dissolve it. Let's work it through. Let's understand who we are. But so what? Let's go and get something that we really want. Quality of your life, happiness, joy, whatever you want. Build a house, get a boat, whatever you want. But let's get somewhere. So for me, that was gold. And sharing the space with these beautiful ladies, I'm just so grateful. So thank you.
It's always wonderful, isn't it? It's always wonderful. Candy, I see your hand up. Thank you. Let me just respond to what Alina said, because I'm conscious that Ade and Faith weren't here yesterday, and Alina made reference to something that I said that Lisa Nichols shared with me. So let me just say that for their benefit, if I may, which is that when my very first coaching session with Lisa Nichols, she said to me, be careful about your language and who you attract. She said, you want to attract people who are going somewhere, not people who are running from somewhere. And I'm going to be honest, at the time, I had no idea what this woman was talking about. I was like, I don't know what she's talking about. Until a few months ago, when somebody else, Myron Golden, another coach, said the same thing, but in a different way. He said, and he was really quite harsh. He spoke my language. He said, it was a wonderful day. It was a wonderful day in my life. This is what he said. When I realized, I'm quoting him now, it was a wonderful day in my life when I realized, but my job is not to save anybody. I'm not Jesus Christ. My job is to help those who want to be helped. And I was like, Myron, why are you doing this to me? What does that mean? Be careful about your language, that you don't attract needy people. I think Michelle, who was here yesterday, she said it brilliantly. You want to help those who are ready, not those who are needy. There's a place for people who are needy, and this is not a lack of compassion thing. They're therapists, they're counselors, they're people who can help them. As a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer, that's not your job. The job is to take people who are saying, here is my credit card, help me become a speaker. Here is my credit card, help me rediscover myself. Here is my credit card, help me discover my purpose. That's who you're looking for. Not those who keep telling you over and over and over again the billion things that happened to them 50 years ago. There's a time and place for that. There's a time for that to stop, and let's move on. Alina said it brilliantly. So what? So what? So that happened to you. Let's deal with that, and then let's keep it moving. We're not going to keep staying there. And I think my language to Mary Rose yesterday was actually quite strong. I said to her, be careful. If you work with people who are in the gutters, they will pull you down into the gutters. Be very careful. You want to pull people who are giving you their hand to say, take me up, not people who are pulling you down. And I would say that again. Be careful. Be careful. Help people who want to be helped, not those who just want to stay in a place of negativity. Thank you, Alina. Tandy, sorry, my love.
Hi. Yes. So, when you spoke about how, if you have, say, for example, 3 years experience as a mentor or a coach, you are ready to go. That really resonated with me, and it speaks to the point about starting where you are. We live in a world where credibility is the big thing. So sometimes when people are looking for a coach, they're looking for someone who's been doing it for 10 years or more before they actually commit. So when you mentioned how you can help someone who's 2 steps behind you, it just made it clear to me that I can advise others to do the same, because I have a lot of people around me who are waiting for that golden moment, the moment where you have 15 years experience. So thank you for highlighting that.
No, thank you. Thank you for receiving that. How are you going to get 15 years experience if you don't first have 6 months experience? It's a chicken and egg situation, right? How is it going to happen? So please don't get me wrong. You may, as you get going, you may need to work pro bono. What does pro bono mean? Free of charge, right? You may need to charge a nominal amount. I think it's always good to charge people something, because people who pay attention, never give it away for free. I've learned from experience it doesn't work. I heard it. I was told not to do it, and I did it. And I realized I was told right. I realized I should have listened to what I was told. I was told, do not do it. And I did it against my better judgment. And it's proved to bite me in the foot. Charge something, even if it's nominal, but charge. People who pay attention. Charge £50. It doesn't have to, I'm not talking of, charge, but charge something so even the person has pride in themselves. There's something about personal pride. I paid for this thing, right? But you charge. But even if you're at chapter 2, you can help somebody who's at chapter 1 or chapter 0. The only way you can get to 15 years is by first having 1 year. Yeah. But do not diminish your chapter 2. Do not diminish your chapter 2. I said it before and I'll say it again. In fact, I will say it so boldly. I will say it so boldly as to say, the person who has given me the most knowledge so far has had the least amount of experience. Yes. Why? She was hungry. She needed to prove herself. She'd only been doing this for 10 years. She charged me a lot of money, and she wasn't that hungry. I paid. But the point is, she gave because she was still trying to. But other people who've been doing it for many years, the hunger is not the same. The hustle is not the same. So don't diminish your chapter 2. Don't diminish your chapter 2. Don't diminish your chapter 2. Please don't diminish your chapter 2. To somebody, to a kid in reception, a year 1 kid is a big dude, right? A year 1 kid is a big dude. If you're in year 1, own your year 1 ship and help people in their reception. They're looking up to you because they've only just been there. So they know where the pitfalls are. People who pay attention. Faith, you can say, Ene has confirmed this to be true. Never do it for free. Honestly, don't do it for free. Not even for you, because the £50 you're going to charge is not going to make a difference to your life. You're doing it for them so they can have personal pride. Personal pride is important, and it helps with self-belief that they're worth it. They're worth it. I'm worth this amount of money to myself. And here's the thing, if they're not prepared to pay, that already tells you they're not your client. Let them go. You're not here for everybody. You can let some people go. Have no shame in saying, I'm not the right person for you. There's no shame. I'm not the right person for you. I'm not the right person for you. Especially if you have paid. You have paid. Why do you then give it away for free? We talked about this yesterday. Thank you, Tandy. Anybody else before we say goodbye? Anybody else? Final thoughts before we say goodbye? It's been a great couple of days, hasn't it? It's been a great couple of days. Yeah. My Rose, any thoughts? I'm going to pick on you now. Say something.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
What we have received is life-changing. And I'm challenging myself that, Mary Rose, if you don't do anything with what you have received, nobody can help you. If you do not do something with what you have received during these 2 days, there's something wrong with you. And I know from now on, there's nothing wrong with me. And I am determined to do something with it. It's not only about me. I'm now thinking of the thousands of women that need this type of information, knowledge. So many of us out there, we need that. So I won't let anything stop me from going out there. As you said, even if it's one of 2 information that I got here, start with that and see. I'm convinced about the result because I know what it is doing, it has done, and it will do in my life. So the conviction is there, the courage is there, the clarity is there. I'm ready to go.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Ready to go. Yeah, so many people don't even have the book, let alone chapter 1. So you at your chapter 2, you are a master to that person. And that's the person you're looking for. But remember, ladies, before I let you go, you're looking for those who are ready, not those who are needy. Do not allow yourself to be dragged down, please. Especially when you yourself are only just learning to stand up. If you're firmly on your feet, you might even want to run the risk because you'll be like, I'm good. But when you yourself are only just getting up, it's very easy to be pulled down. Don't put yourself in that position. Work with people who want it. You're not Jesus Christ. Thank you. Love you all. And if anybody wants to have a free 20-minute one-on-one with me, reach out to me. I think everybody here knows how they can reach out to me. I'm offering everybody who attended free 20 minutes one-on-one with me. You don't have to take me up on it. If you want to, you're welcome to send me a DM. You can all reach me one way or another. Okay? Blessings. Bye. Thank you. Have a great week. Have a great Easter. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you, Lady Emmy. Good night, ladies.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Good night.